We got the volume up.
Where's that video at? There it is. Monday. Good old Monday. Tell you what.
Welcome to DumbBasses. It's Monday, August the 21st. I'm Tony.
And I'm Greg. Look at that, folks. We remembered to put up the damn logo and our names at the right time.
And it's not muted.
And you can probably hear us.
We're pro at this now, man.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
We're ruling it. Anyway, how's everybody doing today on Monday, the 21st of beautiful August here in Central Ohio? We were not here last week. Got to apologize to everybody. I had a baby boy, young Alexander Lee Surratt. Came into the world on the 10th, and we had all kinds of issues from the last show trying to get stuff figured out.
Check that outfit out. Check that outfit out.
Yep. Jen brought him home in a little fishing outfit.
Boy is ready.
That's my boy. Anyway, that's why we missed. I had all kinds of stuff going on, and I apologize. But anyway, this week on the show, man, we got a week of catch up to do, a little bit of catching up from when we were gone, and there's been a lot of stuff going on
Catching up.
Yep. As far as local stuff, we got BFLs, we got BASS stuff that just ended today with say it. His name, I don't know how to say it.
Koya Fujita.
Koya Fujita. Boy, he was in the lead yesterday, and he came back and he won today. We'll get into that in just a second. But we also got some
hammers,
some local lake reports, which there's some stuff going on, surprising stuff going on here lately that's going to be interesting to talk about. And
some of the lakes are boring. Other of the lakes, not so much.
Some of the lakes are acting like Ohio, and some of them are acting like Tennessee. Apparently, that's what's going on here. Or maybe even like Champlain even. Believe that.
Believe that.
Saying it in the same sentence, Champlain in Ohio, doesn't make any sense to anybody until we get into that. But first things first. Just want to do a quick shout-out. We got to come up with a different name besides shout-out. Everybody does that. But Cash and Rods, obviously, is my rod of choice, and those guys are awesome. Great company out of North Carolina, American-made. You guys... Their Element rods are the cheapest American-made rod available.
We got a hell of a chatterbait rod.
And that Element's a hell of an intro rod. Yeah, they're chatterbait rods, all kinds of stuff. We've been using those for, I don't know, I think 4 years now. I've been pretty much just fishing, cashing, and they're awesome. And, of course, Bass U, which you can't say enough about. Bass Forecast. And today now, first of all, here I'll tell you this. We've got our image on mirror, so it's easier because this is the side we sit on. I sit on this side. He's on this side. When we go to the regular, it switches us back to the see that? Now you can read my shirt. It says side pot fishing. I do some side pot stuff. If you guys don't know about it, side pot fishing, look it up, because if you fish any of these bigger, MLF or Bass Nation or whatever events, you can get in on a side pot with the guys who do it. So a lot of times there's 3 or 4 guys, maybe there's 8 or 10 guys that'll get in there, and so you it's another $100 or whatever it is, but you're just fishing against those guys, so it's an extra little bonus if you do well. And if you don't do well, I guess
Try again.
Boy, I'll tell you what. But anyway, as far as that Bassmaster goes, what did he end up having?
80.
And first of all, one thing is a big note, which I'm sure that anybody that pays attention to the Bass Tour or the Elites or anything like that, you'll see Alex Redwine, who's I think he's out of Blue Ash, which is down in Cincinnati, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Blue Ash is in Cincinnati area, but he's a local guy, and he fishes here with us sometimes in the Tuesday nighter down at Alum Creek.
That's why we don't win. We're fishing against straight pros.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's because we don't catch fish. Is actually why we don't win.
I got a story, and I'm riding it out.
But he had a great first day. He was in the lead. I can't remember what the weight was in the first day, but Alex, he got his first top 10. I believe he's a rookie this year. I do believe. So he ended up with sixth place. He had 82 and two ounces for 4-day total. And what's his name?
Koya.
It's not that hard now that I look at it. But he won. He had 86.12. So he had 4-day total 86.12, won his first elite. He's a rookie on the tour as well, which now we've had, I guess it's 4 rookies that have won elite trophies in their first year, which is pretty crazy.
Sounds like Bassmaster's in good hands.
Well, when you think about some of these veterans that haven't won one, and I'm not going to mention any names, but if you think of those guys and you think of 4 rookies coming on and winning trophies their first year, I mean, that says a lot about what's coming and the talent that's coming out there as far as the future goes.
Where'd my boy end up? Matt Robertson ended up with 80 pounds, 2 ounces, stuck in 10th.
He got 10th, but that's the top 10 for our boy. Yeah. And that's our boy, right?
That's my boy. I love that guy.
That is our boy. After
John Daly of Bass Fishing.
Tony said, "What's going on over there with the final day?" And I said, "I don't know, but Matt Robertson's in 9th. That's all I knew."
Yeah.
But he's a character, and we like him. But that's the big one, the big elite thing that's happened here in the last couple of weeks. Of course, the BPT, the MLFB, the Bass Pro Tour is over, so we're done with that stuff. Other than the couple big ones they've got lined up for later. We had the week that we missed. We had a BFL at a Buckeye BFL out of Maysville, and that was on the 5th of August, last Saturday. And Dave Frick won that. He's been a long time. He's been at 60 some odd, 70 events or something. He's been doing it for a long time. And I've seen his name high up on the leaderboard on quite a few other events. But this is his first victory. So he ended up finally winning. 11-13 is what he had down there at the river to win on that Saturday. Second place was 9-16. And just for everybody who knows how tough the river can be, pretty much all the time. 10th place and the boater side was 5-11, and he only had 3 fish. So 5-11 got you a top 10. And there had to be, I didn't count them, but there had to be 100. I guess I should have looked to see how many boats there were. And as far as on the co-angler side, the winner only had 3 fish, and he had 5-12 for his co-angler victory. I saw that 47, I think it was, of the co-anglers caught fish, and then the rest of the field didn't, which I think there was over, I'm guessing, there was over 50. It looked like when I was scrolling, it was more than it was people who had caught fish. But
I know Side Pot does the main tournament. Do they do co-angler tournaments as well?
Yes.
You do that Side Pot, and you catch 2 fish, and you might be in it.
And they'll do that. I mean, any of those BFLs, they'll have a
5-12
boater and a co-angler side. Yeah, so 10th place on the co-angler side was 3 pounds and 1 ounce. So that's some serious toughness.
Yeah.
Which, when I was talking to Mark today, our guest that we're going to have on here in a little bit, I like those kind of tournaments, especially when everybody's struggling. And I know that, 11 pounds on the boater side is a hell of a bag that's probably like a 20-some-odd pound bag south. Yeah. Anyway. So, hope Rambo stops barking.
I texted him, told him. Before I left, I said, don't let him out.
I don't know if you guys can hear Rambo on my dog barking, but he's barking crazy. He wants to get in here and play with us right now. But anyway, that was 2 weeks ago's Buckeye BFL, which we had a Michigan BFL. We'll consider that local enough. I mean, it's only a 3-hour drive, 4-hour max, depending on where you are down here. Last weekend, and Mike Trombley, who is an absolute freaking hammer up there, you guys. I fished with him last season. I was doing the co-angler up there at the Michigans, and I fished with him. And I honestly, with the exception of maybe a pro or something that I fished with, I've never fished with a better fisherman as far as smallmouth and knowing that area. And he fishes a lot of the North Shore, goes straight out of Elizabeth there for the Detroit River stuff. And he just crushes it, man. He's in the top 10 almost every time. He's leading in points this season. He's got another big local hammer a lot of people know is Scott Dobson. And Scott's in second place Mike's got him by 11 points
11
as far as points go. We're 3.
Did he? Mike had him by 11 points before that tournament started, right?
No, that was after.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, that's only their third one. So there's 2 more to go. I'm sure that we'll see strong showings from him because that guy just knows what's going on, man. That's all there's to it. He's one of those guys that you know, fear when you're really thinking you're going to do good. You're like, we got to beat Mike Trombley, and of course, Scott
One of those
Dobson.
guys when you're fishing in an area and you see him, you're like, feel like we're in the right spot,
Right.
though.
If you're around him when you're fishing, you're not in a
We're
bad
not
spot.
doing everything dumb.
That is true. That doesn't happen much. But as far as it goes, that's kind of the bigger stuff. We will get into the local stuff, club stuff, the smaller tournaments that are around here a little bit later.
So guess we'll get in the weather.
Yeah, I guess we're cruising along here today, aren't we?
There's an easy way to describe the weather, guys. Did it not work?
That's not the right one.
Oh. No, not that. We need, where's it at? Yeah. Oh, it's not working. It's 911 damn degrees outside, okay?
Yeah, it is.
It's hot.
It is.
It is 91,000 damn degrees.
She said it.
It is 91,000 damn degrees.
But, what do we got? We got a week of 90-degree weather coming up. It'll get down to 80s towards the weekend. Monday, it's going to be cloudy, partly cloudy most of the week, right? Getting into Tuesday, it's going to calm down. We fish that Tuesday nighter. It'll be around 86 degrees once we start. 5:30-ish time is what we're talking. High's 87, no rain on Tuesday. Doesn't really get interesting until Thursday. We'll have gusts up to 24 mile an hour. Obviously, that's gusts. It's not sustained wind, but that's something. And then Thursday, it will gradually get windier and windier. Opposite on Friday, it'll start windy by noon. It's going to be pretty calm. And that's what we're looking at this week.
What do you see the direction of the wind?
I didn't.
Well, see, Rain Man.
That direction?
Tony's a Rain Man of weather. That's what we've decided.
Rain Man.
He needs to get a little bit
Why didn't
more
you ask me
detail.
that yesterday when we were going over?
Because I thought you were just new, dude. I need to look which way the wind. We got to get the wind. Let's put that on. Let's write that down.
For what we were doing all week?
No, it doesn't even matter at this point. Next week, though, let's have the wind direction on there. It makes a difference, you know, depending on who you are, depending on how much you know about where you're fishing, and depending on how much you know about how the wind hits it. It's no big deal.
Tuesday, northwest into north to south. That's Tuesday. Okay, next week we'll have that written up.
What? The wind.
Direction.
We're going to have you guys put, basically by the end of this thing, give me a couple years, we'll just have waypoints. We'll just say, just go right here. I think they sell those in real life. Isn't that? There's a site now, I heard about it. It's called, I don't know, you guys have probably heard about it too, but it's called Just the Tip. And it's very controversial right now. I don't know if you've seen that. But what they do is people, just regular old people, will go on there and you pick your lake and you get people that will sell their freaking spots.
Yep. Captains.
What do you think
captains.
about that?
I don't. It's not going to affect me enough that I'm going to get worried about it.
I kind of agree with you on that because it really doesn't matter if people.
If I was fishing in the Bassmaster Elites, I think I'd like it a lot less because.
Well, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Well, yeah.
Do you think? Well, they take
Somebody is going to.
Those people don't lie, bro. They're on lie detectors. They don't know how to pass a lie detector.
Yeah.
Dude, they're honest.
They don't ever do anything they're not supposed to.
Man, we've had a hell of a lot of controversy this year. I don't think I've ever remembered more controversy than we've had in all the, the big tours and, all the way back to that freaking retarded walleye people. But anyway, I think that's kind of silly too. I don't think it makes. Granted, there's going to be a couple spots that matter. Somebody really wants to put it up there, but those fish are there and then they're not there. And I don't think it matters how many spots we would buy. We wouldn't catch jack anyway.
That's what I was about to say. If we used it, we'd end up more confused. We look like Ray Charles in a maze.
Ray Charles in a maze.
Ray Charles in a maze.
That's a good way to describe the way we fish.
Why would you go back to the same spot you don't catch fish?
Because you're retarded.
Okay.
Anyway, as far as some local stuff goes, let's talk about Hoover, first of all. I've got a pretty decent report from Hoover. I've got a heck of a guy that helps me out with the Hoover report. And there she blows, Hoover. So it wasn't as big as it was a couple weeks back when we reported those 4-pounders and 16 or something pounds. But the winner on Thursday night last week had almost 11, just a couple decimal points shy of 11 pounds. 3.5 was the big bass down there at Hoover last Thursday. And there's a Wednesday, too. I did not get a report on the Wednesday. I didn't ask about that. But I'm guessing it was similar. There was 6 bags over 8 pounds that were weighed on that. Need to probably figure out how many boats that is, but I'm guessing a dozen or so. Water temperature 74, 77. And that's one thing that we didn't say anything about when Tony was doing the weather was how nice our weather has been prior to these last couple of days of getting hot again, because last week, man, we had some cool temperatures. I saw 57 in the morning, whatever morning it was I got up. It was kind of chilly. So the water temperature has gone down quite a bit.
Yeah.
4 or 5 degrees, maybe even a little more in some spots. But we've got this warm weather coming in.
Coming and it is right back up.
It's going to be going right back up. We'll get into bass forecast in a second, but they have some pretty good days looking ahead here on the bass forecast. And as far as in Hoover goes, most people are fishing shallow. Only about 25% of the field caught limit, so most people are catching them shallow, which it kind of wears, it bothers me a little, but obviously it doesn't bother me. I like fishing shallow quite a bit, but me and Tony here over the last couple of years have really been trying our asses off to find the fish in deeper water, especially at Allen. When we get to that, we'll talk about it, and we just don't know where they are, to be honest. I mean, we're fishing in spots we are unfamiliar with fishing, and we're fishing with spots that aren't that comfortable fishing, but we are trying to find them out deep. Oop, sorry about that. What the heck? Anyway, let's get that out of there. So Hoover, some things are going on. Delaware, I didn't get a report from Delaware this week, you guys, and I apologize, but I got to tell you, it's probably going to be the same thing that's been going on. And same with Buckeye, same with Indian. I'm sure that there's some guys catching some fish. I didn't hear anything. There was nothing big tournament-wise on any of those lakes lately, so I didn't have anything to reference as far as what's going on, and I didn't go to those because I've been busy here the last couple of weeks. But those lakes are probably fishing a little bit slow, but with this cooler water, they may have picked up a little bit.
Gotta eat it sometime.
It couldn't have been any worse. So having this cool weather and cooling the water now might be a good deal. So maybe go out and try them. Griggs, not that great. I think it was 5-something one on Wednesday last week. Same kind of thing that's been going on. And anyway, I can get rid of this
Buckeye, they're scattered, shallow. It's hot.
Are you telling me that the fish are shallow at Buckeye right now? Oh, they're not shallow.
No, they're in that, the drop off that goes 600 feet.
Yeah, that's where they're hanging
there.
there. On that ledge.
Yeah, with the freshwater marlin.
Yeah, they're on that ledge. They're really all bunched up in a huge school.
It's crazy.
Actually, that's not what's happening because Buckeye's 4 feet deep. But when we're talking about Allen, man, we've got some super interesting stuff that happened yesterday at the Mega Bass event they had up there. 20 pounds and 0.51 ounces, 20.51, not ounces. Boers and Uber, those guys landed on the fish like nobody else has landed on the fish in months up there.
The big was a 5.78.
They had a 5.78.
Dogs.
But Chad and Randy Steeman had a 5.72, so those guys were kicking it real close with them. I don't know. I'm sure when they were coming in, there was no way they didn't think they won this thing. They had 16.60, and that was Randy's birthday gift, evidently. Out there fishing on his birthday with his son, and he got those fish. That couldn't have been a better feeling.
So, I mean, their big was about the same, and they lost right under by 4 pounds. Those guys were hammering fish.
Yeah. It's not like I have any real information about what they're doing. I know there's some things, but I mean, I got a feeling that, they found them deep. And I would have to guess are those largemouth?
You would guess they're smallmouth, wouldn't you?
I don't know. Well, that's
they got five. Their 5 went for 20, so they're averaging 4 apiece.
Absolutely.
I mean,
so they had some big ones. We should talk to We'll ask Mark.
We should talk to them.
We'll ask Mark if those were small or largemouth. And then we had third place was Dawson's with 1201. They had a 365, and then Jeff Kyle over there had 10 pounds for fourth with 353 is his big one. And if you looked at the board, man, like most people had limits.
32 guys, 32 boats out there.
Was that what it was? And most everybody had limits, which I don't know. Now they fished a whole day. They fished a whole morning to 3 or whatever it was, like normal.
I mean, we guessed yesterday that most of them went based off of Tuesday nighters. A lot of those guys
Well, I got to think that most people were fishing shallow
somewhere. Where the hell it was, who knows? But
because based on the Tuesday nighters, I mean, I don't know. We're not fishing shallow, so we haven't fished shallow really all year long. So we kind of decided we probably should start fishing shallow. I think that's what we pretty much decided. But as far as the Tuesdays go, 2 weeks ago on the 8th, August 8th, Mills and I don't know how to say his last name. I don't know those guys. I got to meet them. But they won with 841. So that's what they won with 2 weeks ago, 841. We had Burger and Shaver. Povisil.
we're probably butchering it. I don't want to say your name wrong, but I already did.
Burger and Shaver had a 793 for second place, and that was we had a couple fish, but we didn't weigh them in. Honestly, me and Tony are just in a learning phase of this on Creek and trying to figure out how to catch them. So unless we have 5 fish, we're not really weighing them in because there's no real chance. On August 13th, Megabass had their Alum Creek Lake Summer. It was an $80 open, and John Randall won that with $13.29. So that's a pretty dang good bag for Alum Creek in the middle of the summer. Boers and Uber, who won that with the 20 pounds that week, were behind him in second place with 12.32. So those guys they're as on them as you could be at Alum Creek in the summer. Right? I mean, that's all there's to it.
Yeah, seems like they figured out a pattern.
They definitely have something going. And then last Tuesday, we fished. We only had one, and we didn't weigh in. But
What do you think that's like, though? Do you think they're just waiting for Tuesday night?
they don't fish Tuesday night.
I bet we see them this week.
I don't know.
I mean, why not? Unless they can't get off work or something, obviously.
But anyway, last Tuesday, Fry and Fry Jr., those guys had they had 10.35, and then Presley and Bertram had 9.13. And I know that Matt said that he had one that was pretty close to 4 pounds. So there's fish getting caught up at Alum Creek. It's just not us that's catching them, and I'm glad to see that there's fish getting caught because that still keeps the hope alive.
You know they're in the water.
You know they're in there, and you know they're biting. It's just like, where in the heck are they, man? And I get it that, you land on the fish and you got the right bait, but man, when these guys are doing it often.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference between you're searching for fish and you're going out somewhere going, I'm using this bait this way because I know they're here. Wham, wham.
It's frustrating. I know it's not just me that's frustrated about it.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
It's Alum's been fun. Been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. But we're gonna go shallow on Tuesday. Tomorrow. We're gonna go shallow, and we're gonna see if we can catch them shallow and just try to go back to old school.
We'll get in the dumb bass moment later, but that one guy on the bank when we were fishing Alum, he had a dumb bass moment. You remember he cast it straight up in the trees?
Oh yeah.
Y'all should have saw that. He was on the bank.
Yeah. You guys catching them? We're like, no.
And then he
we're not
tried to
catching
play it off like he didn't just throw it up in the tree. He was like looking around.
That had to be embarrassing for him. That was right in front of us. Like,
Been there.
that was definitely close to being one. Anyway, all right. What do we got? What do you got coming up? Anything?
Tuesday nighter.
Tuesday nighter. I've got the super tournament down at Dale Hollow in 2 weeks, so that'll be fun. And this weekend I'm going up to Erie. I'm going up to Erie. I'll probably get the kids on the bus and go up after that. So I'll probably go up Friday morning.
God, I love that place.
Yeah. Anything else you're doing?
Got vacation coming up.
Oh yeah. Where are you going?
15 minutes south of Myrtle.
Oh, that's right, Myrtle Beach.
I want to say it's Ocean View, but I keep saying that, and my girlfriend keeps yelling at me for it. So I know it's not right. So I ain't gonna say it again. But
Tony's
one of those
gone.
beaches down there.
He's gonna be gone on the 5th, so I'll have to do the show by myself on the 5th. I'm gonna have to drink a lot of Red Bull to keep talking that much.
Red Bull.
That's probably what I'll do. But as far as Alum Creek goes, and as far as Erie goes, our guest tonight, Mark Chevrier. He has quite a bit of experience on both places. And Mark's been out west. He's been here. He's been there. He's been around a lot of places. He fishes out of town stuff and a whole bunch of local stuff. And let's just go ahead and bring him on. You want to? Yeah?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Well, we're gonna find out if he is.
Mark, he's there. Let's bring him on here. Hey, Mark. I don't hear you, buddy. Oh, I got to unmute you. There we go.
Yeah, you got to unmute me. You got a problem with that mute thing.
Hey, it didn't take me 11 minutes tonight.
Now you're a smarter dumbass than you were last week.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
And that
damn
is
it.
what matters. And that's the whole plan, is just a little better every time. This week we're
Be a
working on
smarter
people-
dumbass than you were last week.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's right.
It's easier said than done.
So I can tell you, Uber and Boars on Allen this weekend.
Yeah.
I watched them catch that big fish. They were about 100 yards from me.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Jim were fishing about 100 yards away from them, and I knew it was big because we saw it jump, and then it took forever for him to get it to the boat. And when it got in the net, they were hooting and hollering like they won lottery. So I knew they were on some fish,
Oh, my
and
God.
they had one smallmouth. The rest of theirs were largemouth.
That was not a smallmouth. That was
That one, we were a little bit too far away to tell whether it was a largemouth or a smallmouth, but I know when they weighed in, they had one smallmouth and the rest were all largemouth.
So they were fishing. They were fishing for greenfish.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they were way offshore, but they weren't that deep.
Well, they got to go. And that guy, I don't know him. I've never met him before, but man, he's pretty dang good.
He's a good stick. He fishes, them mega bass tournaments he has for the last few years, and he had a kind of a tough start to the year, so they kind of bounced back good. Last year, I know they were doing better points wise.
Yeah.
Me and Jim are kind of doing the opposite. We started out really good, and we're kind of sliding at the back here, but we're still doing all right.
I didn't realize those guys were those two were the chicks in the boat girls.
Yeah.
So they had a good
It's
day.
first time they've ever won one. They've been doing them for like, I don't know, 9 years or something like that.
Yeah, and
Hell yeah.
awesome. They finally.
Yeah, so they were a little jacked up,
Yeah, that's cool.
rightfully so.
I imagine. Well, so Mark, I've known you for a long time, and
We met at a BFL on Indian, didn't we?
I think we met when we were up at Allen once, so we were just cruising around above the north ramp there, whatever it's called, the Howard. Is it Howard?
Yeah.
Up there. Remember, I think you're even with me, Tony. I don't know, but we were both in the same damn Phoenix, and we stopped and talked to each other. But regardless,
I think it was an Indian at a BFL.
was it? It might have been.
Yeah.
It's not like I've been known to forget stuff here and there. A little bit. But so
But we've known each other a while.
So how did you get into fishing? We never really talked about your beginnings of fishing out. And so
My beginnings of fishing, I fished ever since I was real little. My dad liked to fish. He wasn't, a tournament fisherman or a per se bass fisherman. He just liked to go fishing.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew up fishing with him, and I always loved fishing. And how I kind of got into tournament fishing when I was in high school. I lived in Oklahoma and had an algebra teacher that was a president of a bass club. I didn't know that at the time, but I had a 65 Mustang that I drove to school, and I used to car top a 12-foot aluminum rowboat on the top of that damn thing.
Nice.
And after I got off of school, I was off to the lake and I was gone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he seen me at lunch one day with his boat on top of my Mustang, and he's like, "What are you doing with an aluminum boat on top of a Mustang?" And I'm like, "I go fishing, man." He said, "Really?" He said, "What kind of fishing you do?" I said, "Well, I'm kind of getting into bass fishing." And he said, "Well, I happen to be a president of a bass club." So he kind of introduced me to tournament fishing. He invited me to a tournament down in Texas just to go as an observer and just to have fun. and I went down there with him, and actually ended up getting to fish, not in the tournament, but because they had an odd number of people, and it was a draw thing, so they needed an observer for a guy, and they said you can fish if you want, just stay out of the guy's way.
No good.
And this is too cool. I got to learn how to do this, and I've been doing it ever since.
That was when you were in high school.
That was when I was a freshman in high school. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And that was out west, right?
That was in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
So what's
Yeah,
more
that's
fun
kinda
to drive recklessly, the Mustang or the Phoenix?
Probably the Phoenix, because the water's a lot less forgiving than trees and shit. You hit a tree, your car's done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you live
Although I know some guys that have hit trees in a boat.
I've seen
We won't go
pictures.
into that.
Mike Iaconelli, that's the one I've seen that's burned into my mind. If you've never seen the one where he's stuck up his boat, ramped it off in the bayou.
Oh, we got a guy that fishes Tuesday nighters at Allen that hit a tree. I won't mention any names. Yeah, down on Kentucky Lake.
Oh, I hear. He got kind of messed up too, didn't he?
Yeah, him and his non-boat are both.
Yeah, they were down for a little bit. But so you were in Oklahoma.
But yeah, I went from Oklahoma, and then I went to Washington State, and that's when I got really into the tournament thing on my own and started doing tournaments. And
there's some big
lived there
fish
for
there.
40 years.
Yeah, how does that
There's
compare
some
to
really
Ohio?
big fish there.
Yeah.
Oh, the fishing there is tremendous. That is one thing I miss about, I coming from out there and coming to Ohio. I thought, wow, man, it's warm there. They have some good fish. I knew about Erie, of course, but I figured, there's got to be some good fish in there. Well, yeah, sort of. Not compared to Washington State.
Few and far in between.
Fishing out there is really good.
We're talking like 6-pounders.
Yeah.
Not like.
Yeah, we'll give you an example. There's a tournament me and my partner out there fished every year called the Potholes Open, and it's a 2-day event. And if you want a chance to win it, you're gonna need 48 to 52 pounds, depending on how the fishing is that year. And
what lake is that?
we got 38 pounds one year and came in. I think we were 7th or 8th or something like that with 38 pounds.
What lake is it?
Yeah, it's Potholes Reservoir.
Oh, that's the name of the reservoir. I thought that was
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's in eastern Washington, and my DumbBass moment happened there, so we'll get into that when you're ready for it.
Go ahead.
Well, Potholes Reservoir is a
DumbBass moment.
All right. So Potholes Reservoir is a big, it's a high desert reservoir. You mostly use the water out of it's mostly used for farming irrigation. So in the springtime, that baby's full up to the top, and the north end of it is all sand dunes and willow trees. Okay. And when you go up in there fishing, it's like fishing in a forest, and there's boat lanes you cut through. I mean, you're going through spaces in the trees that are not much wider than the boat, and you zoom on up in there and go wherever you want to go in the springtime, right? Well, as that water starts dropping down, the boat lanes get narrower and the water gets shallower. And the trick is that if there's been big windstorms when in the summertime, when the water's down, it moves that sand around. So what was 5 feet this year, next year might be 3 feet. And it changes all the time based off what the wind does and everything. So it remains fairly steady, but it can make a big change and you not know what the hell's going on. And I had a Stratos 185 Pro and a nice little 19-footer with a 175 on it. And we were fishing it was the end of June, and I hadn't fished there a lot in the end of June, and that's when they're starting to get some drawdown because the farmers are all starting to water everything then. And I had a little spot I was going to and went up and looked at it. I figured out about 100 yards of sand I had to get across that was fairly deep. I thought I might drag the skeg or something a little bit, right?
Yeah.
No big deal. But went up, took a look at it, went back, got around at it, trimmed the motor up, backed off the gas to go to slide across it, and skeg dug in at one part and kind of kicked me a little sideways and pointed me towards the sand. And up on the sand we went, and we had the whole boat about 15 feet from the water sitting on the sand.
Oh, fuck you.
No shit.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a nice deal. Took us a couple of airboats and shoveling and
Yep.
and everything. And about 4 hours later, we were back in the water. It
Holy
didn't really
crap.
hurt anything on the boat because it was, like I said, it's all sand. So
Yeah, but still, that had to be a
it
little
was a dumb
embarrassing.
bass moment.
That is a good one.
Yeah, I wish I had pictures of it. I've got pictures in my mom and dad's photo album, but they're in Washington State. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Well, all I know is, Mark, you fish a lot of stuff, and here in the last couple of years, you've been really working on the mega bass stuff.
yeah,
And
been
so,
doing mega bass. Last year, I fished with Jim Bear Jr.
yeah,
I think last year at the end of the season, we were 14th in points or 13th, something like that. Ended up sixth at their championship up there at the Detroit River, and the first time that Jim and I had ever been there before.
yeah, I remember that.
So that was a pretty good result. Going into yesterday, we were second place in points. We didn't have such a good day yesterday. I think we ended up 12th or 13th, somewhere around there.
Okay,
And
you were in second place
yeah,
in points.
Dawson's passed us and Koth passed us, so I think we're going to be probably in fourth now. But
Still, that's
one
improvement.
one tournament left, we can still make up a couple of spots, and
That's Delaware, right?
it's Delaware, so I'll have a Delaware report for you and coming up in a couple of weeks
I imagine.
because I'll be going up there.
I was gonna say, yeah, you'll have a couple of them.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. I didn't do any BFLs this year. I did Erie last year, and I did this year before. I did a whole season of BFLs, and did a lot of big bass tour going down to over the last several years. I didn't do one this year, but I did a bunch of those. I've done Gunnersville, Lake Murray.
Do you know about that, Tony?
Lake Eufaula.
I don't.
I think there's a lot of us out here, namely at this point, Tony. And I'm not 100%, but can you explain how they do all their weigh-ins on that?
Okay, so on the Big Bass Tour, and there's also one called the Big Bass Splash. They function pretty much the same deal. You can launch from wherever you want to launch. You can be on the water whenever you want to be on the water. You can get out there at 4 o'clock in the morning if you want. You just can't start fishing until a certain time. And when they announce, they'll text you a start time. When that start time comes, you get a fish. They've got a central weigh-in point, and you can weigh one fish every hour. So there's a lot of strategy involved because, like at Lake Murray one year, I caught a 4-pounder first thing in the morning. Well, as you well know, the bigger fish get caught usually early, and I thought, I don't want to weigh in this 4-pounder in the first hour because he's not going to do any good.
Mm-hmm.
So I held on to that fish and kept fishing and kept fishing and kept fishing, and I didn't catch anything bigger. So finally, at the 1 o'clock hour, I decided to go in there and weigh that guy. So I put it in there and weighed that guy in, and ended up getting, I think it was either third or fourth place out of that 4-pound fish. If I'd have weighed him in first thing in the morning, I wouldn't even have got paid.
Yeah.
They pay the top 10 fish every hour.
So you can have 5 fish in your
You can
live
have 3 fish in your well at one
3.
time.
Okay.
At least on the Big Bass Tour, yeah.
And then you take your fish and you give it to them when you're done, and then you go back out. And did you say it was every hour?
You weigh
every hour they have a weigh-in. Yep.
Weigh every hour. You have 3 fish, and all the strategy is when do you want to weigh this one? When do you want to weigh that one?
And it's 8 hours.
Right.
So you got 8 weigh-ins.
In 8 hours, yeah. So you got 7 opportunities because you don't have a weigh-in to start it with, but yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would like
and
to
over
do
a
that.
3-day event, so that's 210 opportunities at checks you got basically.
I like that, man.
That is
They
different.
pay 10 every hour. They're a lot of fun.
Are you
They're
going to
really-
do one of those
and
next year, you think?
I am probably going to do one. You will have to read the rules very carefully because at least I'm not sure on the Big Bass Splash, but on the Big Bass Tour, it's strictly amateurs only. And if you've won X amount of dollars, or depending on what you've been fishing in the last 12 months, you might not be eligible. Because I know you won some money this last year. I don't know if you'd be eligible or not.
Get out of here! I don't think I didn't win that much.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
I don't recall what it is because I looked at it, the first couple of times I fished it, and knew that I wasn't anywhere close to it. So I'm like, yeah, full send. Let's go.
That's interesting. I know they've got one on. They got one at Eufaula. They got one at.
I went to
Mountain
Eufaula last year.
Lake. Yeah. Have you been to Smith Mountain Lake?
I have not been to Smith Mountain Lake. I've talked about going to that one for a long time, and I haven't gone because
Dude, it's only 5
pretty
hours.
close.
Yeah, it's only 5
Yeah,
hours.
it's pretty close. Yeah.
It's a pretty sweet.
Yeah, I cashed last year at Eufaula when I went. I think the last hour on Sunday, I finally got one that gave me a check. So
I've never been to Eufaula.
That would be a fun way to fish those lakes for sure.
That would be fun.
it's a lot of fun. I went the second time I went to Gunnersville, Washington State, come down, and there was my buddy flew in, and then I had another guy that he had a friend that used to live in Seattle that now lives in Atlanta, and he flew into Atlanta and then picked him up, and they rode in, and there was two
Oh,
other
yeah.
guys that came,
Oh yeah.
and one of the guys was from Spokane, and he ended up winning the whole damn thing. Boat
No
and everything.
way.
Yep.
So
Yeah, he got an 851 or 871, something like that, in the very first hour on a frog.
are they
Yeah. Went in and weighed, and went in,
Oh
and
my
here's the deal too. Went in and weighed that fish in, and you talk about getting disqualified because it's amateur only. That he actually got passed by a guy in the second day, and when they went to the final ceremony thing, somebody said, "Hey, I know that guy's name. I've seen it before." And they did a research on him, and he didn't qualify because he had been fishing. I don't remember with this Toyota series or some dang thing on the pro side, and
wow.
they DQ'd him. So my buddy ended up winning.
No shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Toyota,
nice.
they probably wouldn't give me any hassle about fishing it on the coast side.
Yeah, no. I think on the coast side you're probably okay.
Yeah. So when you do that, are you alone in your boat?
No, you can have 3 people in your boat.
Oh,
You can have 3 guys fishing.
what do you mean you can?
You can have up to 3 guys.
So you can bring buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't get
Yeah, you
paired
can
with
fish.
them.
No, you're not paired with anybody. It's all individual. So you're fishing against the guys in your boat. And if you're smart, though, you do it like a team, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
As a matter of fact, the guy from Spokane that won that deal, they didn't get in and practice as early as we did, and we were catching them on the great big spro frogs, you know, the real large ones.
Mhm.
And those guys didn't have any of those, and they weren't getting bit. And we told them, man, they're not hitting them little frogs; they're hitting them big ones. You got to get the great big frog. So they ran off to Bass Pro Shops and got some of the big frogs, and that's what he caught his big
No
frog.
way.
He wouldn't even have been throwing that had we not told him about it.
Well, he's welcome then. So he was in the boat with you?
No, he was in his own boat.
Oh,
and,
okay.
That guy from Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, that sounds pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I'd like to do those.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a ton of fun.
What have you got up at Erie? You got anything at Erie the rest of the season besides just fishing?
Just fishing, I think. Just having fun. I was going to talk to you a little bit about Erie and how to find fish, and we talked about that share screen thing, and I think I can do it. You want to
Let's
make a
try
run
it.
at it?
See if you can do it.
Let's because it shows me I got a button here. Let's hit it and see. Share. See if this pops up for you.
It looks like it is. Here.
It looks like you can pull it up.
See if you can throw that on your screen.
It is.
But can we can't hear
No,
can't hear
we
Mark
can-
now.
Yeah, I can't hear you though. Let's see. How do we do that?
You can just can you put the map over top of us?
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
you just-
Oh, but then I went away.
Do that again, whatever you did. Here, I got you back on this. Can do what you did.
There. Now can you hear me?
Hell
Yep.
yeah. Nice work, Mark.
There you go. See, we can do it.
Heck
so
yeah.
I was going to talk a little bit about smallmouth and up at Erie and what I look for because I know, I've only lived here in Ohio for 12 years now. Only really been fishing Erie for about the last 7, and I know, it's a daunting piece of water. I mean, look at this area. This is the area I generally fish in right here, in this area right in here. And what is it where do you go? There's a lot of water there.
Yeah.
And I spent probably the first 3 or 4 years that I was going up there coming back with squadouche.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go up there for 8 hours, 9 hours and not catch jack because I wasn't in the right place. I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know what I was doing. And then, you get lucky and you land on a spot and you catch some. So
Mm-hmm.
I was going to show you kind of what I look for. And one of the first spots I found and I don't go in blind. You know, I do a lot of map studying and looking at stuff. And this Kelly's Island area here, if you look at it on a map and you look at it like this, it don't look like much. If you blow it on up and look at an area like that, you know, it doesn't look like much. But what I found is if you get this thing set to right about, let this catch up, to right about like that, you can see these defined edges. Like you see this one right here,
Yeah.
that, now see if you blow it up, don't look like a whole lot. I mean, they're fairly close, but it really stands out
It does
when you
further
get it.
back.
When you get it to that certain point, man, it stands way out. And that area right there was one of the very first places I had success on Erie, where I could go to, and there were not all the time fish there, but if they were there, they were there. And that's just a little ledge. There's a big shallow flat up here, and I kind of discovered that, and I said, maybe there's something to that. So I started looking for the same kind of thing. And if you come over here to this spot,
Oh yeah.
that little ledge right there, when they're in that bay, which is generally late in the fall and pre-spawn, I think they pull up on this spot pre-spawn to hold. I ran into that spot, kind of discovered it somewhat by mistake. I was fishing with Chad Steeman, and we were fishing over in this area, and the wind was blowing this way. So we were just out here aimlessly drifting while we were retying everything because we broke everything we had off. And I happened to look down, and we went over that ridge, and it dropped. It was like 14 foot, 14 foot, 14 foot, and then it went 16 foot in a very short period of time, and then flattened back out to 16 foot and gradually went back up. And I said, hey, we need to check that out. We pulled over, did a drift over it. The first drift I caught like a 6, and Chad caught a 5, and we did several more drifts over it and caught a bunch of big fish. And so that's kind of, you know, what I started looking for. And not these necessarily great big giant places, but these little ones like this one right here is another spot. It's not real long, and it's kind of isolated away from everything else. But you notice the one thing that they all have in common, they got a fairly shallow flat close to them with 25, 30 feet of water on the other side. And they're not big, they're little ledges. And those are easy spots to go find, you know. And as you know, Greg, you mentioned fishing that north side of Lake Erie up there on the Canadian shore with that guy. I know up there because I did it last year. You're fishing a lot of little bitty rock piles.
Yeah.
And there's some big rock piles too. And you'll catch fish on those big rock piles, you know, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you want to catch a big fish, you got to find the little rock piles that are out away from everything else that are about the size of, the size of my room here. If you can find one of those, golden. That's where the 4s, that's where the difference between catching 4s and 5s and 6s up there versus catching 2.5 to 3s. You'll catch 2.5 to 3s on the big stuff.
100%.
Isolated stuff.
That's 100% right, Mark. And that's why I don't go up there and fish, because I haven't had enough time to just drive around and mark a ton of those rock piles.
Right.
I mean, if I do remember one thing, it's that's what he was doing, running rock piles.
And that's what Jimmy and I did when we practiced for that OMBTT championship last year. We went up on that Canadian shore because you told me about it, what it was like up there, and I had never really fished it. So we went up there, and I mean, we had a heyday up there. And some of the stuff we discovered by mistake. We're just idling around out there, and you know, some of it, because a lot of it's not on a map. You can't see it on a map.
Yeah.
You're idle around, all of a sudden there's a little bit of a contour change on the bottom, and turn on that side scan and see what it is. Is it rock? What is it, you know?
Yeah.
And if it's small and it's rock, boom, go fish it. They'll be there.
Yeah, that's the case. I'm going up there, like I said, this weekend. So keep going. You got a couple of other points.
So this time of year, this weekend, if you're going up there, out here on Kelly Island Shoal,
that was in my head.
The same thing.
Yeah.
This is I've caught fish. If you go look at my my Navionics map, I got waypoints from here all the way up the whole side of this shore. And if you got a south wind coming that's blowing into this, that's where they'll be. They're always on the upwind side of stuff usually. If you fish this backside and it's a south wind, you're not going to catch them. If it's a north wind, you want to be fishing this side.
Okay.
But the best spot that I've got on this, and it stands, where would you think I mean, it jumps right out at you.
Oh,
What's different on this whole side?
that big
You
cutting
got,
right there.
yeah, well, you got a real shallow hump right here. This comes up
Yeah.
to about 5 or 6 feet. You can power pull down on that, believe it or not.
Yes, I do.
But
I've been there.
see how sharp the contour lines are
Yep.
right
I
there?
know exactly. I've
I
sat
mean,
exactly right there too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yep, right here, I have caught more big fish right on that one edge right there than I have on the whole rest of that shoal combined.
So you
It's
want a
just,
north wind for that? Yeah.
for this, you want a south
Yeah,
wind
you want a south
blowing
wind.
into it. Yep. South or a south east wind or a southwest wind.
All right.
As long as you can drift, you drift it coming this way. And I would usually start my drift because this time of year, when the water's so hot, they'll get out deeper sometimes. I would usually start way out here around 20 or 30 feet and just drift towards this. And once you figure out what depth they're at, concentrate on it. Usually they're sitting somewhere between like 18 feet and this break,
Okay.
somewhere on this edge. And once you get it down, man, it's great. You just drift from here to here, fire up the outboard, come back, go from here to here, just go back and forth across it. Or if you got, now see, I don't have spot lock. I don't have any of that forward facing sonar crud yet.
Yeah.
So I'm a
That live
60-year-old
poke?
guy, and I'm kind of old in my ways. So, but they work.
Yeah.
And so I prefer drift fishing actually myself. I'm starting with Jimmy's got the spot lock on his boat, and he just got forward facing sonar. So we're experimenting with it. I see some places where it would be advantageous to use,
Well,
but I think
yeah.
these fish in Erie like things moving, and they don't necessarily want it sitting still. I think it looks a lot more natural when it's just dragging the bottom, going along at a slow speed.
I like that idea of that shoal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another place this time of year up here is Gull Island Shoal, and where I've caught most of my fish on Gull Island, some on this shore a little bit, but this right here, because you got a 10-foot hump here, you got a little valley here where it's deeper, you got more shallow water over here, but out here you got 25 feet tapering right up to
I
that
don't think I've
10-foot
ever
mark.
fished there.
You haven't? This stretch right here. I took David Fluker out there, and we caught some big ones out there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
In the summer?
But yep, yep. These are good. These offshore
Those
shoals
big
have always
shoals.
been pretty good in the summer.
Yeah.
Now you saw a couple weeks ago I caught that 5 something I sent you a picture of.
Mm-hmm.
That was clear out here on Niagara Reef, and if you look at that, see this right here?
Oh yeah.
That was the golden line right there. We actually started fishing. It was funny. We left from way over here at Catawba Launch.
Yeah.
I started going this way, and the guy, Niagara Reef's out here. So the guy that was with me, he'd never been out there.
I
He had
haven't.
no idea where I was. Yeah, he had no idea where I was going, and it's what? I don't know. I could tell you. Niagara Reef. 10 miles. It's a 10-mile trip out there, so it's a ways. He had no idea where I was going. He's like, we're heading out there, and it was pretty smooth that day. He looks at me, goes, "Where the hell are you going?" And I just pointed, and I said, "I'm going that way." So, so we got out there, and we started on this deal probably out here, and there was hardly any wind, so I was using the trolling motor just to move us. And this was my ultimate goal, was to get up here. So not knowing, there was not much wind, so I think wind was a factor as to how they would have been positioned. But we came up here and we fished all the way up through here, and I got nothing. And we got up to about here, and I told them, I says, we're coming on where if the fish are going to be here, I think this is where they're going to be. And then like 2 casts later, I got that 5 I showed you. I lost another one that was probably just as big, and then we caught like 3 3.5s, and then we left because I had a tournament the next day and I didn't want to burn fish.
And did you go back
And as
there?
it turned out, yeah, we went back there in the morning.
Nothing.
I don't know whether it was an afternoon thing or what it was, but we did not get bit there in the morning at all. Yeah,
I've never been out there,
kinda
man.
crazy.
I've never been out there.
I've been out there. Chad Steeman and I fished out there a couple times. I haven't been out there a lot, but all these little reefs out here
Yeah.
are there's quite a few. And nobody, and the nice thing about them, the only boats you're going to see out here for the most part, you might run into a bass boat once in a while, usually walleye guys, and that's usually early in the year because you got the Maumee River over here, and that's where them walleye come out of, and then they start going, they they head towards Buffalo for the deeper, cooler water.
Yeah.
So once you get later in the year, there aren't any boats out here. There's nobody. I mean, we were fishing here. I saw one boat. He was out here by this buoy, and I think he was walleye fishing, and that was the only boat we saw the whole time we were out there.
I might
And
have
you
to go
don't
out there
have
and
the
check
you
that
don't
out.
yeah you don't have a lot of the boat wakes and boat traffic that you got over around the main islands. So it's pretty nice, man.
Yeah, that's something that you got to make a decision real early on that one because you can't be going
Yeah.
over there and fishing both of them.
Yeah, and
Will you ever fish that big reef that's up north Bass Island on the west side? That it's a big, huge flat, but North Bass Island, that big, huge flat right there.
over here,
Yeah, that west.
yeah, West Reef. I've fished over there once. I just haven't got up there a lot.
There's one of the couple of those nice drops there.
Yes, there are. See, I've caught fish along here, and I've caught fish over here. I've fished some of this up here. Haven't done real well, but you notice it's a lot. There's some fairly steep, but you don't have anything real close. They're farther apart. And I have fished in here, but I haven't done it much.
Well, I haven't either, but that's been on my list of places to really try out.
It's one of those weather tricky spots because you're exposed out there.
Yeah.
The weather's got to be right for you to be out there. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what it's going to be this weekend. Do you?
No, I don't either.
I'm going to look it up.
If it's good, you might see me up there.
Well, like I say, I'm going to go up Friday.
I can't go Friday, but I can go Saturday.
I'm going to just ramp camp, I think, on Friday.
Ramp camp.
We caught. Now, this is interesting for me to look at right now because after we left Niagara Reef, we came over here and we fished this point because I'd caught some fish in practice right here. And then I was working my way back in here because I was going to go into this marina right here.
Yeah, that point.
I was going to go into this marina right here to see if I could catch some largemouth because I wasn't catching any fish. That was during that club deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you weren't there, were you?
Mm-mm.
No. So I was going to go in there and try and catch some largemouth because I hadn't been catching nothing. And we were drifting our way in there slowly but surely. And I'm interested to see this little spot right here because we were catching them. And we were way out here in the middle, drifting in like 20 feet. And this is where we were catching them.
Right there
and
on
I
that.
See it's got a nice little ridge there. Yep. Tells me why they were there. But that's the kind of stuff, for basic guys that either don't have a lot of time to spend up there or just don't have any knowledge of where to go. Those are the kind of things that I look for just good basic spots to start where you don't have to go out and graph for 8 hours to go find a little rock pile. You can find little ledges like that. And they're not always there all the time. You got to come up with a bunch of them. And if you run to enough of them, you're going to run into them eventually.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, so this weekend we got a northwest wind. Or I'm sorry, a northeast wind. Well, Friday 8 to 11, Saturday 6 to 15, Sunday 12 to 16. And it's pretty much dead northeast wind.
Well, if it's northeast, I'll give you a spot. I shouldn't give you, but I'm going to. Wait, where are we? Yeah,
You're giving us and one other person this spot, Mark.
Well, if anybody else watches it later on, I never fished here until 2 years ago. But this whole shoreline right here.
That's
not
right.
so much out here, but from here into about here. I mean, this here, there's some good fish in here. Because you look, this is pretty flat up here.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly shallow, really flat. You got 35 feet of water out here on this side. And it's really rocky, and we caught some big ones there, me and Jim.
And that's just right. You pass Putin Bay and you go north, right on the inside.
Yeah. When you're on the corner to go to Putin Bay's up here. I've caught fish all along here, pretty much community, but I'm starting to see more boats in here, but didn't see a lot of boats over in here until recently.
I haven't fished that, but I fished up in that pocket, and that gets really super weedy.
Up here?
Yeah. I know that gets super.
That's weedy in there? See, I haven't fished in there.
It's shallow and weedy up in there. So that
Yeah,
deep.
see up close it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see how far apart? It's not doesn't have a steep edge.
Yeah.
This has got that
Super
steeper
steep
edge.
edge. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
got a
I
couple
find
spots
that's
to
where I
try out.
find most of the time that you got that steep edge someplace close by
I
when
always
I'm
just
catching the
fish.
big ones.
I always just fish closer to the damn islands, and I always do okay, but they're either there or they're not, right? So having those out,
Right. Well, and that's like I say, that's the deal. You gotta find a bunch of spots and don't don't you probably have experienced it up there. You get up there, you make 4 or 5 casts, and boom, you catch one. Make 4 or 5 more, you catch another one. If you make 15 or 20 casts and you don't get a bit,
yeah,
there's no use in staying
yeah, that's
there. I
100%.
mean, it's a run and gun place for
It's
me
not,
until I run into them.
yeah, it's not like Buckeye Lake.
No, no, definitely not like Buckeye Lake. But any other, I mean, things out in there in area I can help you with,
No,
man.
that's a good
I'll show
amount,
you
buddy.
another place.
You know what we ought to
Is
do
this area?
sometime? Because I never do it. I never fish the bay sometime. We got to go up there and just fish the bay sometime. You fish it at that. I've fished it a ton more than me because I never fish it, man. I don't really even. I'll go out and about almost anything. I'd
You want
rather
to go
just.
frogging?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Because, we actually catch some. But what
Okay,
were you going to say, man?
come out of the bay, go around the seawall out here, right? Come back, and you run all the way down to. Wait a second, where the heck is it? To here. There's like a freaking windmill looking thing, something sitting on this
Oh,
point.
yeah. Yeah.
Going behind here, coming here, and this is really shallow in here. I mean, the whole thing's shallow anyway, but there's rock all along here, and lily pads start about right here and come over here. But you get out in the middle of this, part of this is open. There's a big island of lily pads here,
Hmm.
and part of this is open. This is all pads, and this whole thing is pads, a giant pad field. But back in there, man, you can flip the pads all the way in. And then I got back here frog fishing and busted some good ones up frogs back there. And it was, a matter of fact, it's funny you mention that because I got an email or one of them Facebook reminders last year. I think it was yesterday that
Oh,
I was
about.
out there and I
Really?
had a picture of a big. I was back there with frog fishing. Yeah.
I was going to say, I've never been back there, but I've seen pictures of, by the windmill.
Yeah, yeah. And then where Adam goes, that's on this side.
I know. I was going to say he posted.
Yeah, he fishes all this, but this is over here.
But I've never been over there. I mean, dude, if I'm gonna go up there, I really want to go fish. Smallmouth is so addicting.
I know it's hard. It's hard to go up there and largemouth fish. It is.
It's like I'll go out on 6-foot waves just to go, so I don't have to. I'd rather just go smallmouth fishing. It's so fun. So
I'd rather go smallmouth fishing and catch nothing than go largemouth fishing and catch 50. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, we don't have the best fishing in Ohio, but man, we've got Lake Erie and we've got St. Clair and we've got within 6-7 hours, we've got a lot of really good water. And we're not also going through that crazy, and again, it's hot, but we're not going through that damn Texas heat. I mean, I wouldn't be complaining if I lived there because we go fishing there, but hey, there's some good things about Ohio too. Dang it.
Yeah.
So you can travel. If you don't mind driving 5 hours, man, there's some good fishing around.
Another place, if you want a largemouth fish in there, I call it the octagon. See this little deal right here? From about right here down this side and down this side are the two best sides. This side's okay; it gets pretty shallow back here, but right here and I usually come up here and start right here, fish all down here and all down here. This is really dependent on water depth because it's pretty shallow, and if the water's down a couple of feet, they just won't be there. But if the water's up fairly decent, you haven't had one of them east winds or west winds blowing all the water out of the bay.
Oh yeah.
Spinnerbait and chatterbait all along there.
I haven't.
That's where I fished when I was in Buckeye Bassins or USA Buckeye Club for a couple of years, and I won their year-end championship and beat Andy Fryer, which was a big moment because you know how good a stick Andy is.
Yeah.
That's the first day I went smallmouth fishing, and the wind was so bad I couldn't get out there. I was in the lead by Andy was about 2 ounces behind me, and I was all in on the smallmouth. And then when I couldn't get out there, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I went down here and started throwing a spinner bait.
Randomly,
And,
just randomly, you went down there.
yep,
Hmm.
yep.
Nice.
Caught. I'd seen it before and I'd fished it maybe once or twice, but never had any super big success there. Not like that day. I ate it. I boated 18.5 pounds and ended up beating Handy by about 1.5 pounds. Got big fish both days, so that's been a good spot. And Bobby Smith, you know Bobby Smith, he fishes Tuesday night. Sometime he works up there at Field and Stream up at Polaris.
Oh, okay.
Tackle department,
Yeah.
bearded guy. You know,
if I saw
him and his partner, he was asking me for help because he never fishes Erie, and he was asking me for help for, I think it was a TBX tournament, and I told him to go there, and they won fishing that area.
No way. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was nice of you.
Yeah.
So
he called me all thank yous.
I imagine. Shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. I don't know. Well, that's a lot of really good information, man. Very.
Well, I like to help out. I'm not, I'm there's not a lot of secrets with me.
Well,
You want to know what I catch my smallmouth on? I'll even show you.
I know what you do, but if I wasn't going to say anything, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything. But that little.
Well,
go ahead.
Just a second.
All right. Yeah, Mark showed me this, man, and the first time, and we just it's just a tried and true bait, bro.
And this is actually what I've been catching all my fish at Alum with lately. Just a second. Let me stop that.
Not everything, but it's a super confidence bait. Here, let me get you back over there.
Yeah, you can slide me back over to the hole.
There we go. But yeah, that was super good. That was the most information we've had on the show yet.
By far.
Actual
So
information.
it starts.
Screen share is
Where
awesome.
am I? Starts with.
Go right a little
Damn
bit.
it.
There you go.
There, yeah.
Starts with. Let me move it up so you can see. It starts with that 3/8 ounce football head.
Yep.
I'll give this up because when you ain't got a ton of viewers.
No, they don't.
Okay.
He's got us
I
in there.
don't. But this is the best freaking smallmouth bait, and you've caught him on it, haven't you, Tony? Have you caught him on it? I don't know how you couldn't have. You fish with me.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
That's a
Hula
double tail Yamamoto hula grub.
Man, it's just
3/8 ounce football head, and I'm throwing that up at Lake Erie probably 90% of the time that I fish up there.
Yeah.
For smallmouth.
We went out to Alum one day, and we were fishing it the day he showed me that, and we did okay. We drove over on. It wasn't great, but we caught some fish. And then the next Tuesday, which might have been 2 days later, we probably fished on a Sunday. I went out there with Mike McClellan that we had on show one, and we went to this hump down there. First cast, freaking smallmouth, right? Get it in, put it in the damn live well. Second cast, another smallmouth. And I set the hook on the second one. I got another fish, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And at that point,
it works, man. And the thing is,
like,
that bait works all over the country. I've caught smallmouth on that damn thing from Washington State to down in Tennessee.
I caught
wherever, and it doesn't matter what time of year, winter, summer, spring, fall. They eat it.
Yeah, I caught some of those on a hula grub. Now we weren't doing it on a football head. We were Carolina rigging a hula grub down in Arkansas when I was fishing with Jamie Hartman that time when I went down there.
Now, the one thing I'm not going to tell you, you know the color, but I'm not telling anybody else the color. You're going to have to figure out the color on your own because I only buy one color.
Yeah.
That's it.
No. It's purple. Purple with black flake. Chartreuse chip tails.
So
anyway, well, that was nice of you to say that. That's a hell of a bait for anybody who just listened. because, like you say, it works everywhere, and it works all year, and it works all the time. So
It just worked.
it
I
really
haven't
just
been any
does.
place in largemouth or smallmouth. I haven't been any place where I can't catch fish on that. If I can't catch them on nothing else, that's when
Yeah, that's the
I'll
ultimate
reach.
confidence.
I'll reach for that for sure, and I know I'll catch them. And like my partner Jim told me last year when we were up there at Erie and fishing in that championship during practice and everything, we were talking with a group of guys, and he said, "Man, it's like he's won with that bait. When he ties that bait on, he knows he's going to catch a fish." And I really, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but that's how I feel. I mean,
Yeah, that's your
if I can't
confidence
catch
bait.
them on that, you can't catch them.
Yeah, it's your confidence bait. It's like on remember back
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone Over the Top with that arm wrestling movie. Do you remember that? He'd say when I turn this head around, I'm a machine. And that's pretty much how it is with Mark with that hula grub. Anyway,
I fish it on I throw it on a spinning rod.
Yeah, he throws it on a
usually
spinning rod.
Yeah, 10 pound braid to fluorocarbon. And when I go up to Erie, and I do it pretty much everywhere, a lot of people put a whole lot of emphasis on this 6 and 8 pound line. I don't do that. I throw it on 14-pound fluorocarbon. And I used to throw it on lighter line than that, because out in Washington State I could get away with that because you didn't have as craggly crazy rock as you got up here in Erie.
Yeah.
And throwing that thing on an 8 and 10 pound line, dragging it on the bottom, you just lose so many fish, and you got to retie enough as it is with 14. And I just started using heavier line, and it didn't seem to affect how many fish I was catching or how many bites I was getting. So
Do you do the same thing with drop shot?
No, drop shot I'll use a little bit lighter line because I'm not, it's up off the bottom.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
care if
down
I
in
use
there.
lose drop shot hooks.
Yeah.
But when you're throwing football heads that cost $1
No,
a piece,
100%.
it's like losing $1 every time. I mean, last time I ordered them, I ordered $200 worth. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you how many I use.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, that was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna call it a hell of a night with Mark.
Good.
Mark, I appreciate you
Good.
coming on.
Learned
buddy.
a lot, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, man,
Good.
for
Well,
coming
don't
on.
use it against me tomorrow night. I don't want to get my ass handed to me.
Nah, don't worry. I don't think you have to worry about us.
No.
We're just some dumbasses.
Some DumbBasses.
All right, man.
Well, listen, buddy.
Nice seeing Tony and Greg. We'll see you tomorrow night, man. You
Absolutely.
guys have a good evening.
Have a good night, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there's Mark. Mark's awesome, bro.
Did we do the like, comment, subscribe?
I don't
we're
know.
still live.
I don't think we did. Here's what I can tell you guys. If you don't have anything else to do and you liked our interview with Mark, boy, let me tell you what. Like and subscribe right on Tony's face. Boom. I'll move that next week so it's not right on your face.
Okay.
But since it is on your face, we'll just do it one more time. Bite, bite, bite. Like and subscribe. Anyway, I appreciate everybody watching today. That was a very informative show. Like I said, when he was on there, the most informative show we've had, which I really appreciate. That was super cool that he figured that out because that helped out a lot. But anyway, there's some good freaking Erie tips for you. If anybody's going up there anytime soon, if anybody's watching, maybe they can use those tips and get back to us and tell Mark thank you and all that kind of good stuff. But in the meantime, I've been drinking beer. I need to go to the bathroom. What you think about that? Until next week, here are the DumbBasses telling you good night.
Telling
Tell you what.
See ya.
See ya.
Shoot.